Donald J. Trump has officially won a second term as President of the United States. While much of the global conversation focuses on how this impacts America and its allies, Africa also stands at a critical juncture. What does Trump's return to the White House mean for the continent? In this video, we'll explore the key policy areas, trade, security, climate, and diplomacy that could define US-Africa relations under Trump 2.0. Reviewing Trump's first term and expectations, Trump's first term left an uneven legacy in Africa. His administration emphasized strategic competition with China and Russia through programs like Prosper Africa, aimed at boosting US-Africa trade. However, many African leaders felt the initiative lacked substantial follow-through. Diplomatically, Trump's approach often sidelined Africa with few high-level engagements and controversial comments that strained relations. Nevertheless, his transactional style led to direct negotiations on trade and security with some African leaders. Now, with a second term underway, Trump is expected to double down on strategic competition with China. This could mean increased pressure on African nations to align with US interests, potentially affecting trade agreements, infrastructure financing, and political alliances. Trade and investment outlook. In Trump's second term, Prosper Africa could see a reboot with greater emphasis on countering China's influence. US investments might prioritize nations with strategic importance, such as those with critical mineral reserves or major trade routes. The African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA, remains a key concern. Set to expire in 2025, its renewal could be uncertain under Trump's America First policies. Instead of blanket trade benefits, Trump may push for bilateral agreements that prioritize US economic interests, potentially sidelining smaller African economies. Security and geopolitics. Under Trump's second term, security policy will likely focus on counterterrorism in regions like the Sahel and East Africa. While US military support may continue, Trump's preference for reducing overseas commitments could lead to a scaled-back troop presence and funding. This shift could create a vacuum, forcing African nations to rely more on their regional alliances or turn to other global powers like Russia and China for security assistance. The US may still prioritize strategic partnerships with nations like Kenya, Nigeria, and Ethiopia, but on a more transactional basis. Climate and development policies. Africa faces the brunt of climate change, but Trump's policies remain focused on domestic energy production, often sidelining international climate action. His administration's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement during his first term signaled a diminished US role in global climate efforts. In a second term, Trump is unlikely to prioritize funding for renewable energy or climate adaptation projects in Africa. This could leave African nations dependent on European or Chinese funding to tackle climate challenges. On development, healthcare initiatives like PEPFAR may continue, but face potential budget reductions. These cuts could strain Africa's healthcare systems, particularly in countries battling HIV/AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. Public perception and soft power. Trump's second term begins with skepticism from many African leaders and citizens. His administration's perceived lack of respect for Africa during his first term has left lingering doubts. However, this could be an opportunity for recalibration. Strategic deals in trade or energy could reshape the US-Africa partnership. That said, Trump's unilateral and transactional diplomacy might weaken US soft power, leaving room for rivals like China and Russia to deepen their influence across the continent. For African nations, navigating this new reality will require careful diplomacy and a focus on leveraging their collective bargaining power. So, what does Donald Trump's second term mean for Africa? The next 4 years will likely bring challenges and opportunities, with shifts in trade, security, and climate policies reshaping the US-Africa relationship. The question is, how will African nations position themselves to maximize their interests in this evolving partnership? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analyses.